I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I really like Harry Potter. I really like knowing what Hogwarts house people are in. I don't know what it is about it, but just something about knowing the Hogwarts house that a character or a friend is in just makes me feel like I understand them better. And I have a lot of favorite characters, so I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I tried to sort my favorite characters into Hogwarts houses? I wrote out a bunch of characters on slips of paper. They are in The Only Hat I Own, The Legends of Zelda Snapback. And I'm going to pull out a piece of paper and read it and sort that character into a Hogwarts house and try and justify my decision. I personally am a Slytherin, but that will not mean I sort my favorite of the favorite characters into Slytherin. I hope. I'll try not to do that. If you don't agree with the way I sorted these characters, let me know. Argue with me politely because I'm sensitive. Let's go. Who am I gonna get first? Who am I gonna get first? I'm not gonna look at it because some of the papers aren't folded well. Who do we get? Ty Blackthorn. Ty. Where would I sort Ty? The obvious answer is Ravenclaw, but I think that might be it. Yeah, I think Ty's a Ravenclaw. Okay, because Ty is a very curious character. He has a lot of questions that he always wants answered. He really likes to know things, and I think that makes him that seems like a very Ravenclaw thing. I could also say Gryffindor because he's very reckless and selfless. He throws himself into danger quite frequently. But I think Ravenclaw because he doesn't really have that selfless aspect about him for the entire series. And obviously I don't want to spoil things, but the third book of the Dark Artifices trilogy in particular, I don't think Ty would be as much of a Gryffindor as he would a Ravenclaw because his entire plot arc in that book is based on curiosity and more of a selfish desire than a selfless desire. I think I'm going to put Ty in Ravenclaw. What are we gonna get? What are we gonna get? A lot of these characters are from Shadowhunters, so I hope it's not another Shadowhunters character. It's another Shadowhunters character. Magnus Bane. Magnus is a Slytherin. That's really easy. I want to describe why I'm putting Magnus in Slytherin. He's a natural-born leader. That is Magnus's thing. He's smart, he's cunning, he's persuasive, he knows how to get people to do what he wants, he can manipulate people, and that makes it sound like a negative thing, but it's not. He is good at getting people to do what he wants them to do, and that makes him a very strong leader. A lot of his motivations are selfish in nature and out of self-preservation, but a lot of them are also selfless in nature, which plays into the loyalty aspect of Slytherin. He is an incredibly loyal character. He is constantly doing things for the sake of people he knows, but he's not as quick to do things for the sake of people he doesn't know and doesn't like. A lot of the things he does for himself as well as other people. I think I'll have to put Magnus in Slytherin. Like, that's not a hard decision to make for me. He's a Slytherin. Not a Shadowhunters character this time, please. Please. Peter Nerev. Peter Nerev! Where the fuck am I gonna put Peter Nerev? Peter Nerev! Where am I gonna put Peter Nerev? I wanted a harder one, but not Peter Nerev. Peter Nerev. Slytherin. Okay, hear me out here. Peter Nerev is very smart. That is one of his things. He is an incredibly smart character, and he is very good at manipulating people. He can come up with these very complex backstories to all of his other personas during heists, and he comes up with all of these characters to play to manipulate people. He's very, very cunning, and he's very resourceful with what he has. He needs to plan everything out to the minute. Like, he has all of his heists completely planned, and when things deviate, he tends to not be quite so sure what he's doing. Although he does tend to disregard rules sometimes, as we've seen throughout episodes. I won't spoil anything if you haven't listened to Penumbra. He is very cunning. I think that is a very important part of his character. He's also very loyal to the people that he knows, but he's very unsure of that loyalty. You know, as we've seen throughout season 3 so far, he does act in his own self-interest before he acts in anybody else's self-interest. You know? That's not phrased correctly, but I'm not going to worry about it. He's a Slytherin. Peter Nerev is a Slytherin. Peter Nerev is a Slytherin. Who are we gonna get? Who are we gonna get? Anathema device. My first instinct is to say Slytherin, but I don't think she's a Slytherin. Anathema is very ambitious with her whole, I want to stop the apocalypse thing. I am a professional descendant who needs to follow all of these prophecies to the T and solve the problem that is the apocalypse. But that could also be a pretty Ravenclaw thing. She needs to solve problems. That is one of her things. She needs to be the person to solve this problem. She wants to be helpful there. She wants to have a purpose in solving problems. She's a good problem solver. She's very smart as well. I feel like all the characters I've pulled are very smart characters so far. She is an incredibly ambitious character in her, I'm gonna solve global warming thing that she has going on. But also, she seems to be a problem solver. She seems like the kind of person who thinks everything through before she does it. And I feel like she is a Ravenclaw for that reason. That she needs to think everything through. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put Anathema in Ravenclaw. She has trouble, thinking outside the box, as we saw multiple times with the prophecies. She's not sure which prophecy to look at to find the solution to a certain problem, and she's sure that it should be the way it should be. But also she's really good at solving the prophecies and figuring out what they mean. So I think I'll put Anathema in Ravenclaw. I'm definitely not going to get through all of these. Look how many there are left. Kit Haringdale. Gryffindor. That's an easy one, yeah. Kit's a Gryffindor. I feel like Kit is a very reckless character. He does a lot of things without thinking them through first. He has the impulses of a Haringdale. He's also pretty selfless. He does a lot of things throughout the books for Ty, which is very wholesome, but also gets him into a lot of trouble. He doesn't really think of his own personal needs and well-being before he thinks of anybody else's. He's very brave, that we've seen. He doesn't know what he's doing for most of the books, but he does his best to do things anyways, and he always wants to be on the front line and helping instead of just in the background, waiting, seeing what he can do. He needs to be there and doing what he can, and that seems very Gryffindor to me. He's very, very selfless when it comes to doing things for the Blackthorns, doing things for Ty specifically. He puts Ty's interests above his own, puts Ty's well-being above his own, and I think that is a very Gryffindor thing of him to do. Are all the Haringdales Gryffindors? I think they might be. Alan Walker. This is not one I've considered in a while. Hufflepuff, I think. Alan is very brave, and that is a very Gryffindor trait, but he's also incredibly loyal. And he does things that he thinks are right. He doesn't do things because he thinks it's what needs to be done. He thinks it's because it's the right thing to do. There's not much I can say about Alan's personality without spoiling things, because he goes through major character developments over the course of the series. But he does a lot of things for other people. He keeps himself in mind, but he doesn't think of himself before anybody else most of the time. He's incredibly selfless, and he's incredibly loyal to, the other exorcists, to the Order. He's very loyal to the people who are loyal to him, and that loyalty extends past what it should. He gets thrown into situations with the Noah, and he's loyal to the Noah and to his friends because both seem like the right thing to do, and he has a hard time differentiating between what do I do here, what do I do here, which one's the better scenario for everyone. He tends to think of the greater good before the personal good, and that seems like a very, very Hufflepuff thing for him to do. He is very brave, and he is very smart, and he's a very selfless character, but I think before all else, Alan is just a good person. He's nice. That is a very important character trait for him, is he's just a nice person. He doesn't want other people to go through hardships, so I think I'd have to sort him into Hufflepuff. Who next? Alec Lightwood. Alec is a Slytherin, and I will argue this until I die. A lot of people say Alec is a Hufflepuff, and I can see why they think Alec is a Hufflepuff. He's an honest person. He's a very kind person. He's a big ol' softie. But I'd say Slytherin. Alec is a natural-born leader, even more so than Magnus, I'd say. He is a leader. All of the other heads of the Institute, they weren't as great, right? They didn't stay as long. But Alec, He went through all of that. He became the best head of the Institute that Institute had in a while. And he did a good job at leading all of these people. He gives orders well. He commands respect well. He always seems to know what to do, and he keeps very calm under pressure. Those are traits of a very good leader. He's also very ambitious. We've seen in his rise in power throughout the series, again, spoilers if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil anything, but he has a rise in power throughout Shadowhunters. And I think that that's a very ambitious goal. Like, his mother said she always thought he'd be the head of the Institute, that this was his destiny, and that he always, deep down, he knew he always wanted to be the head of the Institute. He had this goal, and he was very, very, what's the word I'm thinking of? He was very, very persistent in getting there. He's also incredibly loyal to his family, to his boyfriend, to his institute, to the Shadowhunters in general, but he's not afraid to break the rules, to break the law, to lie, to get what he needs to do done. Alec is a Slytherin, and I will defend this until I die. Lavi Bookman. This is a hard one. I want to say Ravenclaw. My first instinct is to say Ravenclaw because Lavi's entire thing is that he's smart. But I don't think Lavi's a Ravenclaw. Again, I can't say much about his character without spoilers because Lavi's entire existence is a big spoiler. He is a complicated character. I would say he is a Gryffindor. He's very reckless. He does a lot of things without thinking them through first. That's like his entire existence, is doing things, not thinking them through, and then having to deal with the consequences later. He's very brave. He throws himself into danger quite frequently for the sake of other people. He does a lot of things he does for the sake of other people, and he's a very selfless character. He's not exactly loyal. He is, in a sense, that he does things for the other exorcists, for the Order. He does things for them. And he does things for Alan, for Lena Lee, for Conda sometimes. But he doesn't do things for other people as much. He tends to keep things to himself more and more, he'll help people. He does things for the greater good, but he also keeps his own self-interest in mind. That might be anti-Gryffindor, actually. But I'm gonna keep arguing that he's a Gryffindor. He's reckless and impulsive, and his heart drives what he does more than his head, despite him being this, smart character who analyzes every situation, who his entire thing is that he knows everything. He is incredibly, incredibly observant and smart, but he tends to follow what his heart wants more than what his head wants, and then has to go back and deal with the consequences of that. I'd say he's a Gryffindor. Cecil Gershwin Palmer, the Night Vale man himself, Cecil. Where do I sort Cecil? Cecil's smart. That is a character trait of Cecil. But I don't think he's a Ravenclaw. I might say that Cecil's a Slytherin. Now, I'm not trying to say that all Slytherins are selfish, because I'm a Slytherin, and I don't want to say that about myself, because I'm trying to be nice to myself. I think Cecil might be a Slytherin, purely because he seems to think of himself above other people. There are points when he talks about his relationship with Carlos more than he reports on the news. He needs to be the person on the front lines more often than other people because he wants to be the one there. It's more, he's very resourceful, that is true, and he's very loyal to people who earn that loyalty. He's very loyal to the radio. He's very loyal to Carlos. He's very loyal to Dana. He's very loyal to these people, but he also has people he just hates. Like Steve Carlsberg. He hates Steve Carlsberg, and I won't elaborate on that because spoilers. And there's all of these things, but he tends to put himself first, he abandons the radio station to go talk to Carlos. He answers calls on the radio because he wants to, and he's putting his own self-interest first. Everybody else comes at a very, very close second, and he does tend to be quite selfless in that he reports the news, even though he knows it is dangerous for him to do so, with the whole StrexCorp thing, spoilers. But I do think he tends to put himself, and then very close under it is everybody else. So I think Cecil would be a Slytherin. Who is it? Wizard Brown? Oh no. Where do I sort wizard? Okay. This is a hard one. I can't even talk about wizard that much because of spoilers. Like, Hufflepuff. How do I describe wizard and why I'm putting him in Hufflepuff? He's nice. You know, he gets into arguments a lot. Him and Marvin fight a lot. That's their thing. They are very argumentative. But, you know, that doesn't mean he's not nice. He loves Jason more than anything else. You know, he actively goes to Jason's baseball game, risks seeing Marvin again, just because he loves Jason and he wants to be there for Jason. He, you know, he's never mean to Trina. He's never mean to Mendel. He is never mean to the lesbians. He's never mean to anybody but Marvin because Marvin's mean to him and he's getting what he gives. He cares a lot about everybody else. You know, throughout Act 2 of the musical, he puts everybody else before himself. He's thinking of their interests before he's thinking of his. And, you know, it does get quite bad for him to do that, but he's still being very selfless, very nice. You know, he's trying to put on this brave face, but it's not really working out for him, but he's going to try it anyway. He's very, very loyal to Marvin. He's very, very loyal to the family in general. And he's not a bad person, despite the way they try to portray him in the first act. And I think that would put Wizard in Hufflepuff. I'm going to do one more. One more. Juno Steele. God, where does a person put Juno? So I want to say Gryffindor. Yeah, I think Juno might be a Gryffindor. He's very impulsive and he's very reckless. I mean, he does think things through. He plans things out well and he's very observant. He is very, very smart. But he's also not the type of person to completely think through a decision before he does it. You know, it'll come to mind as a good solution, so that's what he goes with just to see what will happen. And, you know, in his line of work as a private detective, he needs to be very, very brave. And there are plenty of times where terrible things happen to Juno, and he goes through a lot, but he's an incredibly selfless character. Sometimes that selflessness borders more on self-deprecation and suicide, but, you know, he does tend to put other people before himself. He puts Nereid before himself. He puts Rita before himself. And he's also very loyal to these people, which isn't really a Gryffindor trait. But it is at the same time, you know, like all the Gryffindor characters we know from Harry Potter were pretty loyal. They had a lot of close friends. They were the extroverts. And Juno is that, I think. Juno is ruled by his heart. Again, I keep saying that for Gryffindors, but Juno is ruled more by his heart than his head. And that just seems very Gryffindor to me. I could also argue that he's a Ravenclaw because he is a very smart character. He's a very observant character. His entire career was based on him being able to, you know, see what was going on and analyze it and come up with all these conclusions. But he also puts himself in harm's way and does all of these very, very reckless, impulsive things for the sake of other people and for the sake of finding out the answers to these mysteries. And I think that is more central to his character than his intelligence. That's all I'm going to do because I'm running out of storage space. This was fun. I really enjoyed this. Maybe I'll do this again. If you want me to do this again, comment some characters, and if I know them, I'll sort them. Subscribe to see more videos kind of like this. If I do this again, and exactly like this. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't like it, I guess. I don't know. It's something either way. That's it. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Bye.